This is the Timers Playbook podcast, and I'm your host, Tepo Pule. I'm a father to two beautiful boys, lovely guys, but also hectic. Now, raising these guys has forced me to up my game in all areas of life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Welcome to the Timers Playbook, and thank you for tuning in. The black father is not a homogenous group. They go through different things, different stages.
It's diversity of stories. Not everybody's gonna be your friend. Not everybody
No,
you're going to. You know, you're gonna have some characters that you actually genuinely don't like.
No, Tessa, I think you're forgetting.
I'm just letting you.
No, baby. I'm a seasoned broadcaster. You forget this. I didn't start broadcasting Izolo because of podcasts. Sacrifice is always demanded.
Sure. There's nothing for Mahala, Baba. You have to give up something.
There's a certain school that does not want to admit my child because Ridula Hagal.
But let them be, let them play. I mean, and by you giving them chores, by you disciplining them, it's actually still letting them be.
I don't think society is ready for that conversation because you can't fix something without understanding the cause.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's fix this GBB thing, but we don't want to hear your excuses. But what you're calling an excuse is why it happened. And the fact that is not the why we're talking about. That's just a reaction that needs to be dealt with. Obviously, Hambia Chair.
Now, before you start listening to this episode, please subscribe to the podcast. And at the end of the episode, give us an honest rating. This helps improve our content so we can better serve you. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Timers Playbook, and it's the 14th of May, 2023, and it's Mother's Day. So we have a special broadcast for the mother of the house, which is
like I get a special broadcast. I like that.
You do get a special broadcast. You're the most special person in this house.
I feature every now and again, you know.
And what did I say to you? As soon as we start recording, look at your children. As soon as, can we just record? Oh my days.
Well, I suppose it's fitting. It's Mother's Day.
Yeah, nap time didn't work. We failed dismally in this one. Okie dokie. We're back now. As I was saying, yes, Tessa, you do get a special podcast. Because for one thing, we had you on like 2 episodes ago, and your podcast does really well. You know, so maybe I should feature you a lot more. I can get like more than 20 people listening.
Okay.
And you tend to resonate very well with women. It's like, so every time anyone comments or women say they've listened to the podcast, it's always like, I enjoyed the episode with your wife.
That's nice.
That's
really
nice.
Cool.
So maybe I should feature you on the podcast a lot more.
You don't say, nigga.
You see what I have to live with?
I'm listening.
So Mother's Day, how are you feeling today? Did you get your rest? Are you chilled?
No, seriously, like all I just wanted was to sleep. It's been a rough week. Besides all the admin and work I've had to do, it's just the kids waking up in the middle of the night for both of us. So I just wanted extra hours of sleep, and I got them. I even actually got a chance to go on my social media, like through TikTok and stuff. It was cool.
And you're wearing your infamous robe. Inky pink into red.
It's cerise pink.
There you go again, making up things.
I'm not making
You
it up.
always make
Cerise
up
is
English
a color.
words. I've never heard of that thing. Cerise pink or
It's my favorite
red.
shade of pink. It's cerise pink. Look it up. Google. Learn a thing.
Anyway, Tessa, I have some questions for you. Since it's Mother's Day. But they're not bad questions.
I don't actually believe in bad questions. So
Okay, cool. That's great. So I've been thinking about, when you first had kids, because you're always telling me like how rough it is to have children, like childbirth and so forth. And as time goes, and the more I look and I read stuff and I see videos and then I see like how it impacts women and such, So tell me about your kids' births and how different they were.
Sure. Okay. TJ was a breeze. I barely looked pregnant. I barely felt pregnant. I didn't have any traditional or what you would call pregnancy syndromes. If anything, you had a sympathy pregnancy. You put on weight. You can eat certain things. You just like your body just went weird on you. And it was fine because I didn't change a bit.
I was very confused.
Yeah, like I didn't miss a beat until like I made you read the article. It's like a sympathy pregnancy. You know, you put on the weight. You were like moody. You didn't like certain things. You just got funny. You got very funny.
I don't remember that.
I know you don't, but like you were confused with yourself.
What are you saying? You're saying like
with TJ.
You said I had like symptoms of pregnancy, sympathy pregnancy. Like
yeah, you
the
did.
male will go through.
Yeah, like you and I are very close. Like I think it was a really prime example of how close we really, really, really are. But you carried all of those symptoms. Like you were the one who like started wanting to have like junk food more. You had like certain cravings for certain things more, you know. And then like towards the end of the pregnancy, was like beginning of the 3rd trimester or something. You're like, this is out of hand. And you did that like extreme diet thing of yours where you're like not eating carbs and eating sugar and you're working out twice. You did that whole program and you literally were the thinnest I've ever seen. Like even when I look at the pictures, I'm like, look at this guy. Like you were dying, you know? But it was a result of, I know this now, but it was a lot of what I was going through because I didn't really exhibit anything. I think the first time I actually ever threw up in my pregnancy was the day I was delivering. And that was apparently a symptom of being in labor.
Okay.
You know?
Is that how we knew for sure?
Yeah, because remember I woke up and I was like, the baby's going to come today. I knew I was going to give birth that day. And you're not quite sure about it. You wanted to call the midwife. Know? I just woke up and I knew that was the day.
But the baby was... TJ was late again, like a few...
Yeah, he was supposed to come on the 11th of December. He came on the 20th.
Okay.
When we did our checkup with the midwife, she's like, well, we could induce or whatever. I'm like, if everything's fine, he'll come when he's ready. So I had baby for another 10 days. And we went to sleep. And when I woke up, I was like, today's the day. And I kept telling you, I'm going to go in labor. I'm going in labor.
And I didn't believe
you. You didn't believe me. I was like, dude, I'm going to be in labor. You didn't believe me. Like, you were so crazy. We ended up going to Genesis for a checkup, remember? Right?
Yes.
And then they did the heart thing. They monitored the scan. Everything was all right. I was dilating, but it wasn't crazy. So they sent me back home. And then on the way back home, we ordered calamari. And I ate. And
that's some memory. I do
the
not
day
remember.
My child was born. What's wrong with you? And then I remember like 2 hours later, I had that like crazy back pain that I got only when I was on my period. And then I threw up. And then you panicked. And then you called the midwife. She's like, oh no, she's definitely in labor. No, you did. Like, so your panic isn't like running around headless chicken, not knowing what to do. Your panic is freeze frame. Your eyes go really, really, really big, and you want an action plan.
Yes, but we had a plan. Our plan was ready. The bags were packed. I was
That's
home.
You. Yeah.
Yes.
But I know you when you're in panic mode. That's your panic mode.
That is not panic mode.
Like your eyes, your eyes look like a deer. Like they actually get twice as big as they are normally.
I wouldn't describe that as focus.
And then you're very abrupt and very curt.
Now you sound like my mom.
You become very curt, very abrupt, very instructional. And I'm like, it's fine. We'll be okay.
You know what?
No, take this because I remember.
Hold on before you continue. My mother, Argachikana. That's what she says.
Yeah, but that's your mode.
Okay.
And then we got in the car, and I think you asked me like 1,000 times if I was okay. You know, and I'm laughing at you. I'm like, I'm fine. I really am fine. What you need to do is call my sisters and my mom and my dad. We're like, okay, we'll do that when we get there. So we got to the hospital. Shout out to Genesis Clinic, best maternity hospital ever for life. And then I got into my room. Everything was fine. And then the contractions started. You know, but I didn't know there were contractions. I just felt winded. This is how super easy TJ was. And maybe it's also because I was probably in the best shape of my life. So it helped a lot. And then I remember mom coming in and you wanting coffee or something.
But that was later than in the day.
Yeah, like nothing really much happened.
Mm.
You know, mom came, you wanted coffee, you wanted to go outside. And then I love my mother to bits, but my mother cannot stand any of her daughters being pregnant. She hates pregnancy. She's never had a good pregnancy. She's never had a good delivery. So she's got all of these memories around it that are really, really hectic. So I'm talking to my mom and we're like chatting and we're laughing. And then I just take a deep breath and I do my yoga squats and I come back. She's like, those are contractions. So I see my mom panicking because she's the nurse, right? She's actually a midwife. So she knew what the signs were. But she's wondering why I'm not losing my nonsense. Like, I didn't lose my shit at all. I was like, okay, hold on a sec. All right, so you were saying, mom, you know, and it continued like that until, and our midwife was giving birth everywhere else. Like, she was the last person we saw, and we only saw her like an hour before TJ came.
Really?
She was talking, but she was with her other patients the whole time. So she got everything prepped for me, and then she walked in. My mom looked at her. She was like, oh, it's you. Okay, they talked a bit. And then she's like, okay, for pain, you wrote that you wanted a water bath thing because like water really does heal and relax me. I was like, yeah, no problem. So I got in the bath and then we're chilling and I'm talking. And then like they got really, really strong, you know. But like instead of intense pain, it was just like draining of energy for me. And then my mom called. Like my mom's like, okay, what do you need me to do? I was like, you need to call Tapper because he wants to be here. You know, and that's when you were called. I don't know if you ever had your coffee or not.
I didn't. I just come back with it.
You know, so you came through and I pushed. Oh, and my midwife was like, okay, the baby's coming. We need to move you to the bed. I'm like, I am not getting out of this water. So she's like, are you saying you're having a water birth? Are you changing your birth plan now? I'm like, yes, I am giving birth in the water. I am not moving. This child is coming out here. Are we understood?
Hold on. So I think I slightly remember. So the baby wasn't meant to be in the water.
No.
So you wanted to just sit in the water?
For pain management.
Oh, is that why she ran that big bath?
Yes.
Okay.
It was pain management.
Oh, you know, I discover things from you. I get it because you think you know stuff that I don't.
No, I recall stuff better than you do.
Okay. No, I'm just saying in life, just about knowledge. Why did you want a midwife? You know, I'd never heard of a midwife. Oh, no, I have. Like, you know, when you watch movies like medieval times or whatever, or like your preacher series which you love, then you hear about a midwife. But in my head, I didn't think midwife at all. These things about doulas and whatnot, I'd never known about it. I just thought you go to a hospital and they look after you and they make things happen. Birth plans, never heard of it. Why did you specifically want a midwife? Because it was not a necessity to have a midwife.
No. So witnessing quite a few births before mine came. I mean, like I was 34 when I had my kids. So, well, my firstborn. So I had been to hospitals. I had visited. I was there for both Sandy and Samu's birth. And Sandy was born in Park Lane Clinic, which is an excellent clinic. It really is. And when Bev, because it ended up becoming an emergency C-section, and because Miranda can't stand the sight of blood, I was the one who was the partner. I was there the whole time. And I knew that I wanted a different experience. So even like I had to sign as the partner for Bev so I could have like access 24/7. Hospitals are very finicky about who comes to see the baby and what times. There's a list. There's times, there's allocation, there's restrictions. And I didn't want restrictions. That's the first thing. Gynaes, not big on gynaes. I've been pretty healthy in my whole life. Never really needed a gynae until pregnancy. And even the gynae that we have was recommended by a midwife. So that because she picked up from you that you were not comfortable without going to like a doctor or gynae or like somebody responsible for these things.
Because that's what all the literature said.
Yes. So that's how we ended up with a gynae, by the way. It was really to put your mind at ease. Whereas your wife, the hippie that she is, believes women birth children. We've been doing it for thousands of years before hospitals were invented. It is the doulas and midwives and stuff. It is a calling. It is like healing. You're with people, you're with energy, and you're really a birth guide. Because in all the movies, you've seen enough movies where a woman was pregnant and the baby came and there was nothing. And she had to give birth. So we've actually done it, right? But my choice of clinic to go to Genesis was purely because it's a private room. My family can all come. And I'm highly family orientated. My friends can come. It's as safe as it is because the security for it is like tight. But it's access. I wanted the access.
Did you know about Genesis before, or did you just do research?
No, I did. Pumla gave birth to Genesis. And
really?
I actually wanted Pumla's room.
Well, yeah, there's a specific room you wanted. Or because
it was because
room?
Of Pumla.
Because?
Pumla gave birth to Yolo 6 months before.
So what's with that special room?
It was nice.
Oh, okay.
The whole, when I came to see her, the whole environment was nice. The room was nice.
Plus that one also had a garden. Well,
they all it's got a garden outside.
But they weren't...
Like each private room has its own little garden.
Yeah. But it wasn't looking... The initial one, I think the other ones are looking towards the car park. This one was more...
Into the...
Garden.
Yeah, the backyard. It was really, really nice. And I was like, oh, I want this. I'm definitely wanting this. I'm not going to any hospital. And that's what the decision was.
Hey, Marum Fagas in doing, yes. When I saw this, I was, yo. Yeah. This is possible in this world.
Yeah. Like I said, I know stuff.
Okay, and then this water birth thing, because eventually then, going back to that, your firstborn, TJ, in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I was...
Holding my arms.
Yeah, but I don't know what was going on.
Of course you did.
Like genuine. It was scary. You were so strong that day. And it was slippery. I felt like I'm going to fall into the bath because I was standing outside the bath trying to hold you. The nurse was like, the midwife, hold, push.
Yeah, so she was giving me instructions and you were like holding my arms. And I was like drained, like it was hectic. And she's like, you need to push. And I'm like, that's okay. I am pushing, So what's supposed to actually happen is that the contractions are a build-up. So as they end, you actually have to relax and ease. And that's when the push comes out with a baby. But you actually need the contractions to give birth. You can't give birth without them. But you have to learn how to absorb that energy to give it the energy you need to push. It's almost like when you do Kung Fu or Jiu-Jitsu. And they say use the energy of the person attacking you against them. That's how you're supposed to actually do contractions. That's the approach to contractions. And deep breathing, full on tight muscles. I think my full actual labor was like 45 minutes. And it was done.
Quick, no? It was very, very quick.
By the time my sisters arrived, the baby was there. They're like, we missed it. Like, yeah. But you only called like an hour and a half ago. I'm like, yeah. And that was TJ. And I was gone in 2 days.
Yeah. But I was traumatized.
Of course you were traumatized.
So there's my son in the water.
A lot of pink that went very red very quickly. The afterbirth, everything.
Okay.
And he was very grey.
And what is childbirth like? What does it feel like?
What do you mean?
Like giving birth to a human being.
Firstly, when I found out I was pregnant, I had a meltdown for like 3 hours.
Okay.
Not because I panicked. I was just grateful. Like it went like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. Oh my God, I'm going to be a mom. Then all the things like, I'm a mom. Am I ready? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I healthy? Is it okay? When last did I drink? What the hell's going on?
Oh, really?
And then the next hour is like, oh my God, I'm going to have a baby. Like me, like somebody, God picked me to be a mother for somebody's child. Like I have to do right. Is my everything okay? Have I read it enough? Do I know everything I need to know?
Why don't you tell me these things?
And then the third hour, and this was like the best hour, I was like, oh my God, there is life in me. There's something happening in my abdomen that is magical, And obviously, because now I have had a life-changing transformation, you look outside and there's still traffic on Beyers Nudia. Like the world hasn't stopped because you are having a baby. You know?
And you lived on Bears No Day at that time.
And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Okay. I obviously have to tell Teppa how to tell Teppa. Then I spent like an hour trying to figure out how to tell you.
I don't understand because we've been together for so long. So what was the problem?
You don't know yourself. I know you.
I don't know myself.
So I wanted you not to have time to make the wrong reaction.
How could I make the wrong reaction, Tess? Because we actually planned the baby. This is what...
No, but it's not the same. I mean, when you say we planned the baby...
We wanted the baby.
Let's be transparent and honest.
Okay.
When we say we planned the baby, we were not going, okay, I'm ovulating, let's have
no,
sex.
we weren't doing that.
None of that.
But we were saying...
Wait,
okay.
We had one conversation,
Mm-hmm.
a real conversation, but I think it's time we had a child. We're like, okay, cool. And that was pretty much, it was a choice to have children.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily a plan. So,
but our actions were
so between
that of those people that
are going to
will
have
children if they continue.
Yes. That conversation happened around October. Right? It was September, October.
There's that memory again.
And then that baby came. It was conceived in March, April, right? So for those 6 months, we're okay with the news that would arrive, but it's not like we were planning on it.
No, that's the plan.
So now that the baby was there, it took me by surprise, even though I'm not surprised, but I was surprised.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to allow you to have a negative thing about it. And oh shit, I'm having a baby. What am I going to do? I'm not sure. Like, whatever. I was like, I'm going to do it in such a way where he'll spend time with himself.
Oh, so you're going to send me a riddle.
He'll spend time with himself and then come into the house. And the first thing I see is the positive, happy person because you panic. Like you would
stop saying I panic. People would generally think I panic, and I don't panic.
Yeah, but like you'd freak out.
Tessa.
It's.
But I think you need to find a phrase in. You know, I do not panic.
Yes, you don't panic. But what I'm saying is, I didn't want to have a tainted memory, and I wasn't leaving it to chance.
All right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made this beautiful little meme for you, and I sent it to you. But I waited for you to park at home
so that I can understand.
Because I could see the car coming. You parked. I sent the meme. You spent an hour in the car. So like all of my preemptiveness was warranted. Like you were not gonna walk in and sit down. I was gonna tell you, and then no, I sent you the meme. And you spent an hour in the car looking at this thing. And the first thing you asked me is like, what does this mean? Either you're going to be a daddy and then the emotions came, you know, because I think you'd already mulled it over you. And then we were going to have a baby. And I was like, we can't tell anyone at least until like 3-4 months in. And that's what we did. So TJ was really, really easy. He was a great baby. I did get torn when I gave birth. So I had like 3 stitches. So.
And you said I mustn't be in the room for that.
No.
I shouldn't hear.
Yeah. So, and I will quote my midwife. She couldn't believe the amount of screaming I did for 3 stitches after giving birth. And I didn't scream or holler or talk about pain once. She just couldn't understand the thing. And I was like, I don't know, maybe the anesthetic. Actually, I didn't even have anesthetic.
No, you didn't.
I didn't have anesthetic, anything. I just pushed. And she was like, honey, you just gotta be brave. And I just acted up. I'll never forget that. Like it is the most amount of pain I've ever gone through. And it was 3 lousy stitches. Right? And the healing from that, I mean, we breastfed, everything was happy. I couldn't do stairs properly. I couldn't sit down properly for a while. And then I remember mom made me what is it called? A stool's bath or something. Stool's bath. Anyway, it's a bucket of hot water and herbs and Dettol and whatnot. And I have to just sit on it. It's hot water and sit it so that steam comes up and it cleans you inside and it facilitates healing really quickly. And that was a bit of a miracle because after like a week or 2 of doing that, I was fine. And I've never healed so quickly from anything, you know? And TJ was just like the perfect baby, except for the sleeping. Whew.
Yeah, no, he doesn't sleep. He still doesn't sleep.
4 hours on and 4 hours off. And he lived on the boob. When he started eating, it was a problem. Phew.
Okay. And your second born?
Yo.
So we assumed that
It would be the
it's
same.
the same vibe. We approach. I think that's why maybe second borns are so different from first borns, right? Even just behavior, because you're so focused on the firstborn about everything, right? You fast. I mean, I used to check if TJ is breathing at night. You know, everything about him was like he must eat it on time. Blah. The second pregnancy, we were very chilled.
And it was still just as much fun, like carrying him. And I mean, that's when we even got married. Like, I was 8 months in canary yellow dress, dancing my life away with some Paul. You know, everything was good. And until our last scan.
If we're honest, we didn't do our gynae appointments. We were so relaxed and so...
Yes, but I did the midwife ones.
Yeah, no, we did midwife.
Yeah.
But at gynae, there's a time that you need to start seeing them, especially towards the birth itself. But we hadn't done that right up until, I think,
the third
just
trimester.
before. Yeah, well, yeah, that one.
It was 27. No, it was 37 weeks when we first got to see her. But don't do that, girls. Go to the gynae from the beginning, please. And
so that day at the gynae,
I was a mindfuck.
yeah,
I was a serious
we found out that there's a problem. Do you remember what the gynae said exactly?
So here we are, and again, memory is crystal clear. I just picked up Max's books because we're launching. We were supposed to launch. We had arranged everything at Scoops at Monte Casino. I was like, okay. Woke up in the morning, went to the baby expo with Kwesi, bought the last of the stuff I needed, got Max's stuff. I was like, okay, let's do the gynae appointment. Went to gynae, and we're all cool and chilled. And she yells at me. Well, she sort of like chicas me under carpet about, because we didn't actually have a gynae for TJ at all, by the way.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. We didn't do gynae stuff for TJ at all.
But we saw a lady, I think once or twice.
Yeah, because medically she has to see you once and sign off on
that
something.
They wanted like 2,000 for that.
2.5.
Yo.
It was 2.5. But so that it was the same MO with Mpho, right? So we were doing that one scan with the gynae to get that bit signed off because we'd been seeing our midwife regularly. And she's like, okay. So she low-key chicas me for not coming regularly to her. And then she's like, okay, let's do this. And then she starts to scan, what. I'm like, okay, she's finished. But no, she's not finished. I'm like, okay, this is taking longer than it should. And I'm like, okay. And she's going back and forth. And she's like, she doesn't know how to say this. So I took one look at her. I'm like, just tell me as it is. Like, I'm not a panicky person type thing. So she took a deep breath. She's like, okay, Tess. Pause clocking in. You're 37 weeks. So you're sure you're 37 weeks? I'm like, yes. She's like, his weight is clocking in at 27. And I can't figure out what the problem is or what the reason would be for such drastic weight loss. So I was like, okay, first red flag, like not red flag, like warning bell, you know, like penetrates. I'm like, I'm still calm. I'm like, so what do we do? And then she looked at you. And then I knew we're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. And she looked at me and she's like, I have to induce you tonight. I'm like, sorry, what? She's like, you have to induce tonight or your baby won't make it. And because of my always delayed reaction, she's like, I'll give you guys a moment. And she left.
No, but as she was talking, what I remember, you did that cry when you were crying. It was so painful. Like, it was almost like it happened already.
It was fear. I don't scare easy and I don't get scared easy. I was frightened that day. I was like, I think, I don't know how to describe it. I've never been more scared in my life about anything. And I've been through a lot. In that moment, I was like, what? Because it was never a possibility. It was never an option. It wasn't ever a scenario that played in my head. My health was fine.
Because everything was fine up until then.
And that's why she was confused, because his heart rate was fine. All the vital signs were good. She just didn't understand why he was so small. So she was just checking if I did say indeed 37 weeks and not 27. Anyway, so then we had to figure out a hospital that she goes to and we go. Like, it was a story. It was a mess. Ended up going back to Genesis, because the less I say about Discovery Medical Aid and network clinics, the better. And I'm like, there's a reason I went to Genesis. We ended up at Genesis. And the midwife came, and it was 3 hours, and I couldn't even speak. I genuinely couldn't even speak. And it was before the days of voice notes, so I wrote a very long text to my family group, like trying to explain what happened. And we went to Genesis. And of course, my sisters yell at me for saying things over text. I'm like, you really is not about you. Right? It's like, I know you have to know, but I don't have the strength. And it was like 3:30, 4 in the afternoon. People are working. You're in meetings.
I think we were actually driving up and down that time.
Because we now had to collect. I had to now make a plan for who's going to go stand for me for Max. I had to tell Max. I had to just rearrange my entire life.
And I had to sort out my life too, because I had that shitty job where apparently you're not allowed to go live life. You must tell your boss
job.
where you are.
It's stupid boss.
Okay, sure.
You had like an idiot of a boss, but it wasn't a shitty job.
Okay, no, it was okay, sharp. Fair enough.
So when I'm in the clinic, you're like, you really didn't know what to do. I don't think I've ever seen you more helpless in our lives. And then I was like, listen, you need to get TJ.
What did we do with TJ?
Pumla came.
Really?
Yeah. So Pumla's like, what? Because I sent her the text as well. She's like, fam, what's up? And I tell her, she's like, shit. I was like, I don't have newborn clothes, like newborn, because I was going to get them. I thought he'd be normal weight. So he's coming early. So I didn't have anything for him to wear. She's like, okay, cool. But I actually just need you to come get TJ for the next couple of days until I know what's up. So Pumla comes, like, everybody's still cool and chill. Like, we're actually kind of happy. We're cool. It's an adventure for TJ. He's like, the baby's coming. Pumla takes TJ. She took him for about 2-3 days or something, which was really, really nice. Shout out to Push. And then, and then our midwife comes in. And she's like, okay, I have to give you this, whatever it is that they inject you for induction. I was like, okay, cool. Starts. And then I feel like I felt contractions for the first time ever. Like, it was really sore, But it wasn't long. It wasn't intense. It was just like 30 seconds of like, yeah. And then it was gone. And then they get longer progressively. But I was like, so when she came in about an hour later, she's like, how's it going? I'm like, that's not okay, because the heart monitor stops when I contract. And she's like, yeah? I'm like, And then we started listening in intervals. Like, so she goes on her knees. She holds my hand. And she's like, your son is not going to, like, your baby won't survive natural childbirth. And I know that's your plan. But he's not strong enough. That's why his heart rate drops. You have to have an emergency C-section. And I remember thinking at the time that I need to speak to you so you save my baby, not me. Which you are not for at all. Your response was something stupid like, we can make another one. I need you.
Is that what I said?
That's exactly what you said. Like, I need you. We can make another one.
Well, don't tell him that.
And then I was like, no, you need to save the baby. And we had to then call the gynae, who is still my gynae till today, because she's like the best lady ever. When she got the call, she's like, she was going to a wedding, like in another province or something, and she like made it, and her husband's a pastor, so she like made the U-turn to come back. so she could deliver my baby, you know? And it was tense because nobody knew what was wrong with the baby.
Yeah.
And then I got this fabulous anesthesian.
I don't know.
The guys who administer anesthetics, but it's
that one.
Anesthetist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Because we're not pronunciation how sometimes.
Yeah, I know. It's dodgy.
Okay.
He's an anesthetist. That's the one. Anesthetist. Whatever.
You let it go.
He was
Yeah.
really, really, really cool. And he made me laugh a lot and administered the epidural. I'm wheeled into theater. And all I remember is like, because now I'm flat and there's lights and like, there's all these people in suits and you're there in the mix as well. And all I can see is your eyes. And I've always been able to read you. And I knew in that moment I was going to walk out alive. No matter what happened, you would will life back into me with everything you had. Like you had this expression. I was like, oh God, I feel for anyone who wants to cross your path right now. It was going to be so much fun for them. And then I was like, I'm surrounded by black excellence. Everybody in that room was black. And they were a specialist of some kind. And you could feel the tension in the room.
Yeah.
You know? And it was dead silence. And they start with the processes and whatnot. And they're like, you're going to feel a bit nauseous or whatever. But then I remember there's a part like when they pulled apart, because I had like a 6-pack. I had like proper solid muscles. My abdominal muscles were intact. And they had to like rip them.
Ish.
And
now...
I'm recovering still.
Right to Ganges.
You know, and then the baby came out and everybody burst out laughing. I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just the biggest
How do you
burst of
remember all
tension.
these things?
I was present. You know?
Yes.
And then she says he wrapped his umbilical cord around his ankle twice. So it's actually chalk white and there's a bubble of food at the bottom. And here's this little person who's like 1.4 kilos.
But he was tiny.
He was tiny. Like puppies aren't even that small, you know? He was tiny. And then...
He didn't even look human.
And then they wrapped him around. They brought him to me. I was like, okay, there's my baby. I held him for 5 minutes or less or something. And then they had gone to go make sure that all of everything else was fine, and it was. He was just severely underweight.
And then they still make me cut the umbilical cord.
Yeah, we did the whole process. But like as soon as they came out and that was a problem, it was like, no, Joe, so we're talking about this. And everybody's like, I'm like, oh, it was by default so cool because it's such a black thing. Like when something is wrong in a black household, there's silence. And as soon as it's settled, everybody talks about everything else. And like, it's not falsified. Like, you know, good, everything's fine. Everything's okay. And then they stitch me up. They wheel me out. I am freaking tired. Like, I don't even know why I'm tired because I didn't push into nothing. You just cut me open. But I was exhausted the whole time. And then mom comes in. She's got the baby. She's with the baby. Like, you're dealing with ambulances. I'm not understanding why there's bloody ambulances. I just want my child. And they're like, no, he has to go to... Garden City because he needs to be in an incubator and they don't have that facility there.
But you must still deal with admin because I can't remember the exact admin, but you needed to call, you need authorization. So when we drove to Garden City, I was behind the ambulance. So the ambulance couldn't get in to the hospital because I had to go in the front, deal with all of that. I don't know, someone eventually made a call because they needed to get the baby into whatever, that neonatal ICU thing. But he was outside for a while. Because it was also like 6 a.m.
So please note, nobody told me this, right? So I'm waiting for my baby.
So they didn't tell you that we left?
No.
You. Hectic, eh? So you didn't even know where I was?
Nope. But what makes it better is like I was really high on drugs. So, you know, like time was in and out. When it hit me, it was at night. And you could hear other babies crying. And I didn't know if my baby was crying or what it would sound like if he did. Yeah.
I can tell you that he wasn't crying because immediately they put him in the incubator too, I guess, ne?
Yeah.
And then they have to put that light on him. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
UV.
UV light.
Is it UV or something? So he was tiny. So immediately they just put him in there. They put him in the incubator, and the crazy thing was they put all these pipe to like with a sick person. So suddenly your kid is in all these things, and then in neonatal ICU, and that's how, because I can't even go in entirely. So they have to get him ready, and then they have to put the stuff on you so that you can go see him. But you see him for a little bit. Even me, I couldn't see him for a long time, and then you see them.
So it was a rough 2 nights. On the third day, I was like, I need to go see my baby. And the nurses were like, if we remove because I had a drip for everything, like whatever. Like if they remove everything, they can't put it back in. I'd have to now start taking pills. So I have to. So if I make the decision, like it's final, like I can't just pop because for pain management, you just press a button on something and then it goes away in 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
It's like all in vitro. It's very, very nice. I wouldn't lie. And I was like, no, I need to go see my baby. And they took everything off. And then you came, like, I'm coming with you. You didn't want me to come with you because I could barely walk. I was like, I'll never forget the nurse. She's like, if you can make it from your bed to the bathroom, I'll let you go. Because they didn't even want me to leave. And I was like, I made it. Can I go see my baby? And then I get there. You get Garden City, and it's on the other side of the world.
It's the Wi-Fi, my boy.
And there's culprit number 1.
And we're almost there with this recording as TJ. Bring the phone here. Okay.
So we get there, and like the maternity ward is on the other side of this place.
You mean walking for you?
So I took a deep breath because firstly, you were not. I didn't want to show you how much pain I was in.
Didn't they give you a wheelchair?
You
should have asked for one.
I should have in retrospect, but I was like, I'm getting there. I got there. And then the nurses were less than friendly. And I was about their life. I wanted to see my baby. And I saw my baby. And I just started spending time there. So like my house for a long time was Genesis and Garden City. Like I didn't even come home. And I remember one of the days, he was so small. But I took him out of the incubator. So depending on who was on duty, they had different approaches to this. There was ones like, don't touch the baby, just go through the glass thing. The other one's like, of course you must touch your baby. You need that mother to, that skin on skin situation. So I just picked up the kid, gave him skin on skin. And instantly the milk came. It was like a whole wave that washed over me. And the milk came. And I started pumping and he started like sucking, and it was, my boob was like so much bigger than his face. I genuinely thought I would suffocate him. Like I'm thinking, it felt like I'd never done this before. It's like I'd never been down this road. I didn't know what I was doing. And he was so small, and he just was like so frail. He didn't move, he didn't moan, he didn't cry, he didn't do anything.
We thought he was the perfect child. We thought, wow.
And then 7 days later, like we negotiated with that doctor. The doctor was like, okay, no, you come, it's fine, he's looking better. If you take him home, will you be able to look after him? Like he just,
no, he needed to get to in a few days
weight.
To a certain weight. And then we need to come back, and yeah.
So he reached his weight. He was now 1.9, and he was like, okay, he will let us have him if we...
It was a she.
Hey?
She.
Mm,
No, I
okay.
remember your doctor was a she.
Okay. I don't remember them at all. Like, weirdly enough. That's like the section I don't remember.
Mm.
And he's like, you can have the baby, but they have to put on weight. So we had like a rigid schedule of when we're going back so that you could check on his development. And in hindsight, like I got stuck in that mode because I missed how much of a fat baby he became at 3 months. I didn't even see it.
He never stopped eating to this day. Never stopped.
I swear. I think it's a uterine thing. Like, it really happened in the stomach. Like, that kid came out eating and he's still eating.
Now
like,
we understand why he wrapped his umbilical cord. Because he can't stop moving.
No. He
can't stop moving, he can't stop eating.
And I remember one of his photos, like when they did the scans earlier in the year, like in the pregnancy, he had his finger in his mouth.
Really?
Paul has always sucked his finger.
I could never see that. Like in the scans, I could never see if in a person.
There was literally one. His finger was in the mouth and we were making...
And it's still there.
It's still there. I can't get rid of it. So he grew and he grew and he got fat and he was fat and he was adorable. And I sat on the couch because obviously you can't move after a C-section for 6 weeks, whatever. But I sat there literally breastfeeding the life back into my child. Only for him to wake up at 6-7 months on some, boobs not the thing. I need more food. You're not producing fast enough.
That's your son.
And he's been munching and fidgeting ever since.
No one can produce food fast enough.
No, not
I was
even you.
shouted at this morning because I'm not feeding him fast enough. And
Daddy,
he literally
I'm
says,
hungry.
feed me. He says, I'm hungry. I need to eat now.
Daddy, food.
Keep buying one now.
Oh, keep papaya, guys. And then, but what I love about all of that energy and that bustling and everything is that when Paul sleeps, he's out for like flat 16 hours.
Yeah.
He just woke up to eat, move around, go right back to sleeping. That's all he did as a baby.
It sounds about the same.
And he was heavy.
It's the same guy.
He's the same guy.
Yeah, he sleeps throughout the night.
He just has a voice now and we can hear better what's happening in his head, but I still think we don't know what's going on with him.
No, we don't.
You can't read that kid.
Oh, I know that he's literal.
Yeah.
About everything. Like, this is what we're doing. I'm doing this now. There's no nuance. That you know exactly what he wants.
He's got zero gray areas. He doesn't know how to manipulate. He doesn't know how to play.
Unlike
the big brother, who
see.
is slick. Ew, my sons.
So now that your sons are 5 and 7, you're a mom now, fully fledged.
Yeah.
Ne? How do you approach motherhood now? And what are your challenges about motherhood, if any?
Well, my approach to the kids, and I had to fight with you for a while about it, was knowing what I know, and I know this for sure, is that kids are born perfect and completely intact. They're complete. What we do is learn how to communicate with each other as they grow up, and we must feed and protect them from the environment and the elements and stuff. But the child in itself is complete. And it's a journey where you need to learn who your child is. Not tell your child who to be. Which is really, really difficult because they don't always make the best decisions or choices for themselves.
They never do.
This kid has 6 scars. And we don't even understand how it happened while his brother is
0.
Practically scarless. Yes, no, you can have an orange. You know? Like we said, he's still eating.
He came out for food.
What was I saying? Oh, being a mother, like you allow them to be, you have to give them space and room to show you who they are. And teach them what's dangerous, what's not dangerous. And we always, I've seen a lot of parents and they approach this with their experience, their knowing, their shortcomings. Like nobody will know you better as an adult like your child because they've been watching you 24/7 in silence, learning your moods, learning your cues, learning your phrases. They know when to push the buttons. They know when to stop. They don't know when to stop sometimes. But they're also exploring themselves. They have a body. They have to figure out what it can do, what its strengths, weaknesses are, what its limitations are. So for the longest time, I thought like Lwandle had this thing, like he has zero fear. Like a zero fear. He literally walks into a swimming pool not knowing how to swim. You know, like the element of me balancing in this body of water is not an issue for him. Like I'm getting in the water because that's what I want.
That's why he's scarred.
Yeah, that's why he's got so many scars. Whereas on the brother and like teacher, you have to build that. Take a deep breath, do it anyway. You know, he initially didn't want to do much of anything, and it was a lot of conversations and a lot of talking. And I've seen my son literally shaking in fear, doing it anyway, because he knows on the other end of it is a different experience. Like I'm very happy he gets that so early in life. So for being a mom to two boys, besides the food that you guys are eating me out of, all three of you combined, the amount of energy you require, it's a thrilling experience. Like I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And I am practicing daily to be present with the kid that is the kid, because the 5 and 7-year-old are not my 3 and 5-year-old anymore. You know, that podcast I shared with you, like that clip or that podcast I shared with you a couple months ago about how moms wake up one day and their kids are 6'4". They're grabbing stuff at the cupboards for them, and they realize that their children are their best friends. They're becoming amazing men and human beings, and they were also their babies. Like you don't get to break up with your child, you know. They just wake up one day and they're these big people. I'm like, nah. I see what they mean, but I'm not that, because I was so present and in tune with all of them when they went through their baby phases. Like I saw the transition from baby to toddler to, you know, and now we have an independent streak that I'm enjoying. If anything, I'm trying to figure out what that look like in 10 years' time, you know, how the world and their friends and society will impact their development and the choices that they will make. I'm pretty much done with TJ, with teaching him what I think I really need to teach him. Paul still copy and paste. He's very, very different. The hardest thing to mother was to figure out how to mother kids that are so completely different. I had one method with one child that does not work on the other. And you literally have to start from scratch and figure it out, you know? And having a partner like you has made it really, really, really easy, you know, especially when I have to remind you, the boys actually just do what you do, so clean your act up. I have been talking, lecturing, teaching. It doesn't happen. If dad puts his core on the couch, I'm going to find grapevines on the floor. They do what you do, you know? So I'm back to working on you again.
Guys.
And I'm back to working on you again.
You don't need to work on me. I'm a masterpiece. You understand? You've domesticated me. You finished me. I'm here now.
But what I didn't counter for, and this conversation is probably the most vital of this entire section or discussion, is the toll childbirth has on you physically. I mean, after Paul came, I think I got up officially 8 months off the couch. You know, took a while. And then we moved here. And remember, I couldn't even lift my legs, never mind do a sit-up. There was just no communication. It was just like, and I was tiny. I kept my frame. It all looked fine on the outside. But like inside, I was like, nowhere. I was nowhere on the inside. And what is it? 3 years now. We're going on our 3rd year. I finally have core strength, but it's still weaker than it should be. But I'm finally getting back to not necessarily the body I had before the children, but like a body I can rely on. That I know my knee and my ankle, like weird aches and pains. And then I speak to my mother, like, oh, what's our band in 10 years' time? That pain is going to come back. It is. So this part of me, I don't think will ever be free, per se, of childbirth aches and pains or the transformation that women go through. And I think men should really veneer it. It's not an acknowledgement or a thank you. You should really, that's something that should be put on a pedestal. Pregnancy is a life and death situation from the get-go, you know, and the transformation the woman goes through to give birth to a child is a miracle in itself, and it should be treated as such. And how society honors certain things like that is be fair about maternity breaks, like compensate people. Like, yes, you chose to have a baby, but you make your laws according to nature, not according to what you think is better. Because women go through a lot, they give up a lot just to be parents. And as much as we nurture and nature and care for the child, there is a very special bond between a father and a child. And it means something very different to men having children. Whether you're a present father or not, it actually means something to you. And I don't think I'll ever understand that. I just see it in all the dads around. And because women give you that, you should honor it differently as a society.
Whew. And on that note, thank you so much, Tessa, for joining us. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I was curious, right? I don't think it's something that we don't have that privilege as men to be able to give birth, right? We can raise the children, but I think I'm starting to understand like how difficult this thing is. You know, it's not an easy thing because I can see how long it's actually taking you to fully heal. If that, like your mother was saying, you're gonna still feel it in 10 years' time if you ever really heal from that. So you guys have a special bond with the kids, especially your second born, right? He wakes up and he just wants you first thing in the morning. So thank you for giving me 2 beautiful boys. Like I can't believe I have such beautiful kids. You know, I can't believe I have kids in the first place.
No, we wonder about that as well every now and again.
But you know, simple things for me, I always wonder. Like I've got a great family, I've got a great wife. So I'm eternally grateful for that. You know, my kids are, as you know, they're everything to me, and that's good and bad because they evoke all emotions and everything in me in like a day. So I go through the whole, you know, this a whole spectrum of life because of these people. But and the most important thing, I think, you keep our house and our family warm. You know, when you're not here, the house is shit. That's what I was saying. If keep the mom, the kid, some more. No, you know that. Like if you're not here, the house is your kids. Number one, they can't manage when you're not here. When they walk in, they always ask me.
It's the first time you say this because like you always look like you've got everything unlocked. There's food, either like you've decided to let them go ape shit or you haven't. The house is tidy. Like everything looks like, oh, mom could have stayed an extra hour. Only I get yelled at if I'm late. But
you must die inside as the man. No, but it's true. You know, so the kids, they understand that because I'm not always warm towards the kids. You are very warm towards them. You like when you talk to TJ, it's very tender and he understands that. Same thing with Mpo. But when you're not here, it's like, yeah, we're here. It's more mechanical. When you're here, it's operational. Like we have to do this at this time. They get that. But with moms, in the morning, like you guys are talking. You're having a conversation. How are you? How's your day? I'm like, yo, we gotta get to school, you know. But that's what you give them. So thank you for that. And thank you to all the mothers out there.
Yeah, no, shout out to all the moms. Like, the moms network, the moms groups, the advice, the columns, the ones who take the time to write the books, the articles, who tell their stories, who gather together. I mean, like, even it's Mother's Day to all the mothers who gave birth to children who are not alive anymore. That is a pain that I respect. And I feel for all of you, like, who have all your people and your little angels in heaven. Moms are magic, you know, and all the moms who are moms but never gave birth to children, like, they don't get enough reward. But we have been, and I know personally, having had a mother who's the mother of all mothers, like, literally, I have aunts that I love who were mothers to me and they had no children of their own. So shout out to them too, because it's the village that raised me. You know, you don't learn how to be a mother, you're shown how to be a mother. And that's the mom I am, because of all the mothers who were mothers to me.
Thank you. Until the next episode.
Sharp, sharp.
Sharp. Thank you so much to our guest for taking the time to share their story. In fact, thank you to all the guests for coming on to this podcast. And a big shout out to our engineer, Unati Ngubeni, for pulling the show together. Most importantly, thank you to you, our loyal listener. None of this is possible without you. If you haven't already, before you leave, please rate the content and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any updates. Until next time, hola.